All right, I'm back for WS's ongoing coverage of Fragadelphia Level Up EXPO Vegas. I'm here with Matt Warden Dickens, coach of BLUEJAYS, and and they're about to start playoffs soon, so let's get right into it. To start, 2-1 over LFO to lock in playoffs. How are you guys feeling coming out of that match?
I mean, we probably should have won all three maps, but we kind of blundered a couple rounds in the first map, and it seems like it took us a minute to kind of get to the level where we need to be playing at, and you know, hats off to them. They were able to beat us, I think, in overtime. So, yeah, just slow start, but glad we were able to recover and make it to the playoffs.
More broadly, how are you feeling about the overall? How are you feeling about the overall level of the team at this LAN? You know, with the fact that first LAN for the team since adding Dare. So, what's the sort of feeling within the team?
You know, just with all the delays yesterday, which I don't blame Fragadelphia for. I just think some of the venues is having some issues. But with the delays yesterday and just how the event's gone, just a slow start. We sat around all day yesterday and then sitting around for a good part today before we got in there and got started. You know, not happy to be dropping a map to LFO, but like I said, I think they're a talented team and it's not the end of the world. So as long as we can keep playing high level, I'll be happy at this event.
You mentioned there are the tech issues that the venue suffered on day one, which led to some pretty long delays for a lot of teams here. That's something I feel like that's kind of unusual for these newer generation of players, because when they go and play LANs at Fragadelphia, for example, they're playing in like a dedicated LAN center where everything is controlled by the tournament organizer. But you, as a former 1.6 player, I'm sure this is a lot more familiar venue for you. You know, being just in the middle of a convention center, essentially at the whims of everything else that's going on. Have you been able to leverage your experience as a former player to help your guys sort of cope with the long delays, the tech issues, the unideal competitive circumstances?
Sure. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I don't know it's so much experience as it is just a mindset, knowing that all your opponents are going through the same. Complaining is really not going to help the circumstance at all, and let them complain, let them kind of focus on the issues that aren't in your control, and you just focus on the things that you can't control.
You mentioned the addition of Dare there briefly, without getting into too much. What factors without getting into the factors of why obviously Wolf had to leave the squad? What led to Dare being picked up? Was it just a natural addition because Snavs played with him so much, or what was the process of bringing him in? Were there other options on the table?
Yeah, we did look at a couple different players. It wasn't just. It was obviously Snavs, one of his recommendations. He enjoyed playing with Dare and Timberman. He thinks Dare's a really good teammate. And, off that recommendation, he was tried out, and we liked what we saw. He's kind of a glue guy where he can fill a lot of different shoes. He can do a lot of different roles on the team and play lots of different spots on CT. So it was kind of a natural fit for us.
A big topic of conversation surrounding that roster change has been the fact that it came right ahead of the MRQ. Was that a consideration for the team at all when making that change, or was it something that, we know the MRQ is coming up, but this change needs to happen?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, it was one of those situations where our team felt like the change had to happen. Obviously, I've been doing this for a while, so obviously we highly considered, when to make the change before or after the MRQ. And the team was just getting to a point critically that we all thought we'd be better off making the change before.
Despite the change coming less than 2 weeks before the MRQ, BLUEJAYS went quite far, ultimately finishing in 4th place behind NRG. Despite BLUEJAYS not making the major, what are the thoughts on the team with their overall performance?
This maybe not this exact roster, but this core roster of Boss and we've been around for a while. Like, we've been on the cusp of making the major multiple times now, and we're going to stick with it. And we know if we stick with it and we keep improving, it's only a matter of time before we accomplish our goal.
And overall, how is the BLUEJAY squad feeling about their performance in the first quarter of the year? We saw the team obviously do quite well in the MRQ despite missing out, making playoffs at the Eagle Masters, making playoffs in ECL. Are you content with what the team's done since joining at the start of the year?
To be honest, no. I don't think any of us are very content with our recent performances. Not making the MRQ, always coming up at second in qualifiers. It's not where we want to be. We want to be at these big events. We want to be qualifying for the major. So, no, we're definitely not content. We're definitely going to be putting our heads down, putting in a lot of work, making sure that the next time a qualifier rolls around or MRQ rolls around, that we'll be in much better shape and be ready.
Mentioning putting your nose to the grindstone there as you prepare for the second quarter of the year, what are the team's #1 priorities to improve on, to work on, so that you are ready when the next MRQ comes around?
Yeah, I think a lot of this team's issue, without diving into super details or revealing what I think our weaknesses are, but I think a lot of this team issues is we try to get the job done with, our aim and our mechanics only. And I think a lot of my job is trying to teach the team that we're always going to be better off when we play together. Peak together, fight together, wait for that teammate, wait for that flash. And I think if we can accomplish, start to integrate a lot more of that in our play, I think, this team's going to be successful.
As an IGL, Snav is someone who, for most of his career, hasn't had the opportunity to work with a coach. What do you think has been the #1 thing you've been working to teach him and help him improve his overall craft as the captain of the team?
So Snav, not to compare the two, it's like comparing apples to oranges, but Snav and Cryptic call very differently. Snav's a much looser style where he relies on his teammates' knowledge and communication to be able to make in middle of the round calls. And Cryptic's not that he calls straight out of spawn or anything, but he's a much more structured caller. And working with Snav's been a pleasure. A lot of Snav's problem hasn't been his IGLing or in-game. It's been a little bit of how to lead, how to be a mentor to his team, and I think he's learning from me.
At this FRAG event, there's sort of two storylines. On one hand, NA teams are all here to chase VRS points, and another is that we're here to sort of defend Fragadelphia from the European squads. A lot of fans will be looking to BLUEJAYS to be one of those squads to keep NIP from winning it all. How are you guys feeling about the potential of a NIP semifinal or NIP grand finals?
Oh, we love it. We wish more EU teams would come over and give us a piece, because it's kind of hard for us right now with a lot of these qualifiers only have one spot up for grabs. We're trying hard to make it over there, but we love the fact that they want to come over here and compete, and we welcome them. And hopefully, we make it far enough in the tournament that maybe we'll run into each other.
With the team having won the previous FRAG event, FRAG X Block. One second, with the team having previously won FRAG X Block, so they're the current FRAG title defenders. Is the team ready to defend that title, no matter who they face, even if it is that NIP in the best of 5?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, right now we're current FRAG champions, and we plan on leaving Vegas with that title too.
All right, thank you so much. That is Warden Dickens from BLUEJAYS, and we'll see them in playoffs shortly. Thank you so much for your time.